microwave. Put your head closer to the radiation, closer to the podcast radiation. But yeah, basically what happened here is the same thing I've heard TJ Kirk and Ben and Scotty, all of the drunken peasants, and some other people too, probably, who are not coming to mind at the moment, here on YouTube, have said about Ryan Wiley before I got there. But I had to know for myself. And it's that he's really boring to listen to. And he does these webcams where he's like right up on the webcam, and it's just kind of like always the same thing most of the time. And it's just kind of like, yeah, I know. That's probably what I would be doing if I thought very differently about media, you know? Like, yeah, wow, you know. Something like Anita Sarkeesian's channel could totally like happen here all of a sudden if I felt like it and convinced people to do certain things. Yeah. That's the internet. So that's kind of part of what I've all been talking about here is like, you know, a good, earnest, honest, straightforward kind of thing is kind of like a bad, no, not bad, just kind of an old school play on the internet. It's like old school. Bring your marketing degrees, bring your communications degrees, you know. Ryan Math, I don't know, Ryan. I think I can smack you all around the fucking goddamn internet with math is what the fuck I think. But we'll see if you ever do a video all about math, and I have a big like math corrections type thing for Ryan Wiley. I will be like on his ass about it forever, you know, just like forever, just like on and on and on, just like, yep, your math degree ain't shit, you know what I mean? Well, right here it's just like, no, I just disagree with him. One more person that Eric disagrees with on the internet is no giant revelation. But, you know, it's annoying is kind of the thing to understand about the Ryan Wiley's and his ilk, as they say. It's annoying. There's just a lot of people who just kind of like want to make the big point and then like are so dodgy and so just ridiculous. And some of them are like downright, you know, paid shills kind of people. You know, like I think the internet aristocrat, and there's plenty of other examples out of old web business kind of stuff. And it's just like, I don't think he's that, but he's definitely kind of like those people where he's not trying too damn hard to be anything other than just what he is, which is great. Except he's making all the same damn points about hooda ha 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 and whatever media presentation. I got into this with people on just about every corner of the internet, and like everyone handles it differently. Some people are like, oh, are you saying we should all get on camera and masturbate? And I'm just kind of like, have you ever heard of that one website? And they're just like, alright, fuck you. You know what I mean? Just like, people are already doing whatever the hell I'm like talking about is not that big a deal. And things that are kind of a big deal, at least in most cases, people are like, holy crap, that's a big deal. And I'm often like the first one to raise things like, hey, wait a minute, I don't know anything about this. What are you saying again? Like, you know. So yeah, I think it's a funny little thing for some people who are pretty funny folks to kind of beat the ever-living, loving crap out of Ryan Wiley day and night. And that's fun, you know. Come beat up on me sometimes, you big jerks. Oh, I'm so butthurt. But yeah, no, it's just something to know that Ryan Wiley is kind of just a male Anita Sarkeesian that doesn't get as much cred and doesn't have the same marketing backdrop and doesn't have the same kind of, you know, ooh la la funding. He needs to get himself a honeypot. A honeypot. Big old rich man. Rich man, rich woman. Cougar. He does he like the ladies? I don't know. I don't know if he's a straight man or a gay man. I don't know how to appeal to his demographic. I want to slide right up in and give him some junk email. I'm just kidding, actually. No, I'm just talking about how everyone has kind of an idea of what the hell they think the internet is, and what the hell they think XYZ and who what is. And that's what I think Ryan Wiley is, kind of blah fashion rather than taking it on like a journalist. He's just another guy that really wants to suck up to Greg Epstein. And Anita Sarkeesian is kind of like his easy in to talk about all that shit. Which is very similar to me in terms of what I've been saying about it. And it's like, yeah, I don't really care about Anita. I never really have for like I don't know, a year, something like that. It's not about her anymore, damn it. She won't make any more fucking videos. So the whole issue of talking about her all the goddamn time is like out the damn window. It's like, well, whatever. 25 reasons to act like it's 1999, you know? It's just like, whatever. They're not doing anything on their channel, so who fucking cares? So here we go again. He's sitting on some random chat room on a currently nameless section of the internet. On the YouTubes. Just talking about, what, transgendered issues and cactus. Cactus. You'll hear more about it as we go here, I'm sure. Liberals and atheists are the best people on the planet, other than the cacti. And then the little cactus image, and then be praised. And the cactus. Oh yeah. Double down cactus. Double downs. The root sandstone button is gone. Well, I'm changing the name. Liara K. is raising the matter of false accusations, which is a valid point about all of the gender issues topics that comes up and has affected me when I was very young, and nothing serious came of it, so it's like nothing to talk about. It's just like, you know, getting pushed around and bullied for reasons where it was like, well, I might be doing this if I thought it was true and I was in your position. So I just didn't even care. I just kind of like stood there like, yeah, whatever. This is a weird bullying experience. This isn't like the normal bullying experience. This is like the, this is really crazy what's going on right here. This is really crazy, you know. They all acted like that too. That was weird. It was a very odd thing. It was just like, before long it became kind of obvious, like, holy shit, he's almost down for us to kick his ass, but he's just not gonna like plead with us either. It's just like, nope, this is insane. I can't believe she told you guys this, you know, just like, yep, that's all I'm gonna say about it. Fuck, I'd be pissed too if she told me that right about this point in time. I hadn't just been over at her house just the other night and been in a ska band with her fucking brother like this morning. Yeah, well, shit. You know, maybe I kind of like almost become part of the family when I'm seeing a girl. Oh no. You know, and these guys don't know that. So whatever. It happens. False accusations. Sometimes people are up to serious amounts of no good. Sometimes it's just poor judgment and everyone needs to forgive and forget like I did. And that's all for the best. And other times it's very serious legal matters. And it's kind of the big, you know, chopping block, bang, you know, door slams kind of part of all of this, where that's where the rubber hits the road and the issue gets serious. And you might have to, you know, take a side or something. Because, yeah, that's where the feminist versus the men's rights groups kind of polarize out to actually have, like, positions on things for once. And it's pretty much Liara K's position, whether she identifies this way or not, is her own business, but social science-wise, she is MRM. Yeah, indeed. That's a negative on the MGTOW. What a positive on the MRM there, Captain Commander. And what the hell am I? I don't know. I often get labeled a MRA. That happens a lot. But that's just because I like advocate for like every underspoken group that like ever existed that's not completely insane. You know what I mean? Like everyone that's not like a crazy ass militia like taking on a different name on the internet. It's like, who are you? I'm gonna backtrack your ass, you know. It's like, that's just me. How y'all doing? I've been here forever. Hiding in the corner. Oh yeah. But no, this was the breakdown on the gender issues stuff. And Anita Sarkeesian could potentially be more interesting in the future. We've been hearing more from Jonathan McIntosh on the Feminist Frequency channel lately, and hearing more from Anita in the like mainstream media waves. And they've been doing very friendly and very much puff piece kind of stuff with Anita when she's gone out there and done that. And that's all cool. I want that kind of treatment. They need to roll out the red carpet for me, though. I mean, seriously. I'll start name dropping all these names, and then people will just scream and run around and just grab the limousines and champagne and just like trip all over themselves. But anyway, while I'm done glorifying my own fame for a moment, I am not done talking about you two people. Which is the other thing. Which is, oh, I don't know. Who's next? Who's on the chopping block? I think I already decapitated Thunderfoot. I've kind of like taken up with Sargon of Akkad. I should probably like re-angle around. Well, there we go, there we go. There's something. Oh yes, some like Think of the Children. Some title like that on one of Sargon of Akkad's videos. That it's just angled straight at the Young Turks of YouTube. And like I make it a point to like never go out of my way to defend them, because they're doing fine, you know. So it's like, yeah, I don't really like go out of my way to defend them. But he tried to just, you know, pick up that media watchdog baseball bat and just come running at that giant TYT logo. And he just tried to smash it with all of his might from the ancient ages, and his bat broke like a pussy, and he fucking smacked his goddamn helmet against the might of the frickin' thing, and they weren't even around to notice it. And that's what happened. And I was thinking I might go kind of go back and kind of cover that a little better. But I don't know. I mean, everyone tries to do that when they're not like in perfect alignment with the Young Turks, and they get on YouTube. They like try to get on there, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are so full of shit." And it's like they covered their ass when they said like progressive news. You know, like they covered their ass. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if all the news did that? That's what I said when they first did that. When they first introduced that like new label to their channel and all that. I was just like, oh, this would be kind of cool if, like, everybody did that in the whole damn news. Like, if the mainstream news just kind of announced themselves when they came on, like, hello, today you're listening to the corporate news. Today you're listening to the GOP TV. Today you're listening to the Democratic Committee National Television Station. You know, it's like, yeah, why the fuck would that be bad? They, like, have to do that crap with stocks on some channels and not with others. And yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like, why couldn't you do that? It's like politicians, people like, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, they want to get money out of politics. Well, it's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. But no, check this out. Here's my idea. I don't even think this is mine. I can't even remember who the fuck came up with it. But check this out. This is a good idea. We don't need to get money out of politics. We need to get the ideas of NASCAR into politics. We need to get all the politicians to be required by law in every state legislature and in every part of Congress and in anywhere where there's lawmaking done. They all have to wear stickers on their blazers or their shirts and even their pants if it all won't fit. And it's just everybody that supports them and their official trademarked logo and just everything you could ever want to know because it's the URL and it's all the things about them and it's the company name. And yes, there it is. Google it right off of your representative's jacket. See what I mean? This is beautiful. This is the new way to do things. We don't need to get money out of politics. We just need to get me in the market. That's all it is. Everybody has to understand that there was a point in time where the world was fucked. And that's just because I wasn't doing anything about it. And now that I'm here, everyone can rejoice. I'll start my Kickstarter and have my private island. And then everyone can beg me to join their damn networks, and I can just smack you all down, smack you all down, smack you all down, make you wish that you asked me now, before I was quite ready. When I was just kind of testing the waters and looking around and being like, you're interesting. You I just like, you're not that good at anything. Oh, who am I talking about, though? I do that same thing, by the way, with my love life and everything I've talked about on here. It's all very crafted. Anybody who's listening to it is going to think for sure that I'm talking about them. But it's not about them, or is it? Or is it? Is it about somebody else? Or is it about somebody else that nobody else knows that I'm talking to because the internet is crazy? Or is it just that thing? Or it's like, ooh, it's just the old flame and he's a douchebag and a liar. Or is it there's like nothing and I'm like completely a liar? It's like, who knows? Who'll ever know? Ooh. No, that's that thing that I don't think I've cut a lot of. But it's live journal blogging is what us weird people call it. And the only reason it ties into that gender issues thing is because it's an element to understand of the entire Gamergate kind of die-down time here that we're in. That all that stuff did trigger around, not necessarily upon, but around, prior to be specific, the Quinspiracy. And what the hell was the Quinspiracy? Well, what is his name? Philip Elliott or something? Elliott Phillips? Phillips Elliott? I can't remember his name. But that guy and the Quinspiracy, say no more about, an asshole did some live journal blogging. And it kind of triggered this thing called the Quinspiracy all over Twitter. And then there was this stuff on other elements of the internet. And blah, 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 blah. And I drive by that Five Guys place on a regular basis nowadays. Anyway, the point here is that that part of it was just kind of what happens when, you're a complete just schizo freak job and you get on there and try and do some live journal blogging in a crazy situation. It's yeah, that's what happens. You just set fire to the internet or something because these people are actually named and you're actually whoa. It's I've done that before, you dumbasses. It's just within my own little local sphere, so there's no real big deal with it. It's just kind of oh yeah, that's right, I'll print an informal retraction, whatever. But it's a real thing that people both inadvertently and very intentionally make false accusations, but it's not the end of the world in every single dynamic. The big one is, when you're willing to just kind of stand there and just be completely unwilling to recant, and just, you know, you'll go before a judge, and just, you know, it's like that's the point where either someone is just adamant and this really happened, or they're doing this for money or something, you know. And that's what I'm saying, is it's a complicated issue where more often than not the kind of modern feminist view is that the listen and believe kind of policy is the way to go when it comes to women. And then if someone like me, or someone who's like downright MRM all the way kind of person, raises like, you know, hey, like, you know, what Liara K is raising here, you know, hey, you know, there's stuff that happens that's like abuse to men, and there's like no such thing as like a men's shelter anywhere. And there's very few, but they do exist, of like women's abuse shelters that will take men as well. Like, that is a thing, that's real, but that's very rare. That's not like the commonality in these situations. So it's something to understand about not just consent laws and these kinds of things, but just how this works, that pretty much anybody at any point can make some wild accusation about one thing or another. But when you really press hard and say, like, hey, you know, like, well, how far are you willing to go with this, you get a lot closer to what's really true. And that's the only reason why the whole listen and believe kind of policy is a bad idea, is just, it just kind of sets up a standard where those few very unethical, you know, willing to do anything kind of people are just set loose. And it has just nothing to do with gender at all at that point. It's just there's going to be a few people that are going to abuse that. And it's not like men be totally immune to it either. So yeah, it's a silly standard that direction. And then the, you know, similar kind of stuff where you have the more extreme men's rights activists advocating some kind of ridiculously heavy fines or something for false accusations or whatever, and it's just like, no, it's just the standard good old legal procedures that need to be done. And what I'm talking about is holding people to the standard of potentially perjuring themselves. You know, just, are you willing to like get up there on the damn stand and just say for sure, this is what the hell happened? Yes, indeedy. You know, you don't even need to swear in on a Bible anymore, folks. We're in a new era. Wow. So yeah, it's a thing where you don't have to just accept whatever accusation is thrown upon you by people, but there's a hard truth, and there's no going back from that moment on. You know, once someone, especially someone of like renown, has labeled you as something like a specific accusation, even if you take them to court and win on a libelous slander charge, you know, they side in your favor. Like, even if that happens, it's like, it's still just going to be one of those like black mark things, kind of like a sex tape or something, you know. It's just like, there's no way out of that. Once somebody's accused you of something, it's pretty much just part of what you did now. And it's just kind of one of the many elements of how the media sucks. You know, how there's just kind of not really a interest in getting kind of comprehensive. And there's always those who hold us all up. They keep us together, you know. They make us remember why we're all here. Most people already have theirs picked out. Mainstream media mostly sucks. If people want to know what, like, televised thing for news is probably just, at the moment, occasionally, some random local news thing, wherever I am, will just kind of surprise me. Just like, oh, that's good. But no, PBS, when they don't do a human interest story, and the PBS Business Hour and News Hour people is what I'm talking about. Formerly the McNeil layer. And they're still actually that. But yeah, it's all the same thing. They're all owned by some corporation somewhere. It's just the check the facts stuff. And the BBC and the NPR. And as I roam around the dials of liberal stations and weird underground radio stuff out of the past, just kind of sitting around in some weird file, like, oh, what is this? I realize they're all shut down. And they're all gone. And that's kind of one of the reasons I'm like tuning up and tuning in, getting in on the show, is I'm noticing that the internet is kind of quieting down. Not in the way that, like, you people kind of notice. Well, at least I'm assuming you're all just kind of normal internet audience people and not a whole bunch of web creators just sitting around listening to my podcast. You know, and it's like, yeah, it's not like the kind of thing you would notice. Unless you spend a lot of time in dashboards for whatever reason. But, yeah, there's something weird with just kind of like boing, you know. I think everyone's going mobile. That makes, like, internet use, like, very different. Something like that. But, yeah, it's weird. And so I'm gonna jump in and be like, hey everybody, I can make slideshows and videos. It's not that hard. Holy moly, I can write books too. What do you think about science fiction? Oh, you like science fiction, do you? Well, I've got 2 of those. They're all out there in the multiverse zone. And right now we've got fantasy fiction just slapping me in the face all day. Like, oh no, you need to do more of this. Stop recording that fucking audio file. Do more of the fantasy fiction editing. Oh yes. And then there's always the matters of the heart. And jumping around like a maniac, dancing, trying to imagine some kind of world where I make millions and millions of dollars just doing something simple like tinkering around with audio files or jam sessions in the garage and things like that. That would be nice. I'd like that. But it's all, you know, what can you not stop me from doing? Well, I wrote so much more than I actually got onto anything. This file I'm looking at here for the Ryan Wiley and Liara K and me and Anita Sarkeesian and Greg Epstein and like everyone else in the world smashing into one giant thing, and Thunderfoot's in there. And, yeah, there was so much more written than produced here. Just like, yeah, that's the fucking problem. I need someone to come in. I need a goddamn editor so bad. I needed one for like 6 years. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. I delete crap too, like a lot of crap. I kind of stopped because it's like not good. I was just like, oh shit. Wait a minute. There was a poem in the middle of all of that, just like gobbledygook, wasn't there? Like, oh great. And I deleted it just like full on out. Bam. Oh no. Yeah, media matters. What is that, a .org? I could go crazy with that, right? No, I don't know. Go read my contract and stare at. No, I'm just kidding. I can do that. I just don't have anything specific to say about them, unfortunately, at the moment. It's like, look, Media Matters were some of the first to do what Liberal Viewer and a lot of other people did. And then, you know, MSNBC and Keith Olbermann and a million other factors kicked in and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it's just the way how these things work. The internet can only contain what it can contain, and people on the internet can only really produce what they can produce. So whatever's happening here tends to be what's happening here, and if people just love it to fucking death, as PewDiePie tends to be the kind of easiest example of, then it tends to just survive on its own creds, and its own merits, and its own content upon content. And if it's kind of shitty, or if it's all a ploy, or if it just kind of is what it is, then it just kind of is there. And most people who do this kind of stuff or have any kind of desire to give it a shot one day are usually just trying to see what the hell they can do with it more than they have this giant like, oh my gosh, everybody, you don't even know. I understand better than anyone how to make viral videos. No, really. Shut up and listen. I'm gonna give you the 10-part lesson. First of all, do a top 10. Then, show hot women. Then, talk in voices. Then, try to sing. Then, pretend you're famous. Then, open another channel. Then, tell everyone you're a rapper. Then, tell everyone you're white. Then, tell everyone you're a woman. Then, tell everyone you're a feminist. Then, tell everyone you're an atheist. Then, tell everyone you're Christian. Then, tell everyone you're conservative. Then, tell everyone you're for Romney. Then, tell everyone you're for Hillary. Then, tell everyone you're full of bullshit. And that's the moral of the story. Is that if you're not having fun on here, you're probably fucking up my damn experience. So here we go again. Me sitting on some random chat room on a currently nameless section of the internet. On the YouTubes. just talking about, what, transgendered issues and cactus. Cactus. You'll hear more about it as we go here, I'm sure. Liberals and atheists are the best people on the planet, other than the cacti. And then the little cactus image, and then be praised. And the cactus. Oh yeah. Double down cactus. Double downs. The root sandstone button is gone. Well, I'm changing the name. Get everything I've ever said on this audio file or this voice recorder like into your ears. Right now, it's more like, oh, you got an hour of listening to me talk. Let me like get to the thing that I'm trying to say, or the moral of the story, I often call it, at some point. And depending on audio quality, me saying the moral of the story could get rather interesting, like it was in the, which one is that, 5? The car cast. It's just like, and the moral of the story is that we, just like, yeah, I had to cut it like that. I was gonna recut it, but then it sounded funny when I was like doing it like that. It was like, the moral of the story is there's a guy with a gun in the back of my head and he's gonna tell me what to say, you know. So that's a funny thing that I do. And I did funny things in a podcast about Ryan Wiley, Anita Sarkeesian versus Eric Lightborn and Leanna Kersner. And sure enough, just like every internet geek in the universe, based on her like response to my own video kind of thing that I watched, yeah, every geek in the internet did exactly what I did. They only watched the first part. And they only really got to the part where she starts smacking on Dragon Age Inquisition. And they all just flipped their beans. But the thing she raised as like what people were raising as objections to her statements about Dragon Age Inquisition are all stupid points. Like there's some of the dumbest points, like whatever these comments people, I'm assuming is where she's getting at. Whatever these comments people were saying, like, that's not true about Dragon Age, it's like, they're totally wrong, like, on all counts. Like, it's like, yeah, she's, like, totally right about the Desire Demon thing. Like, that's very real. It's, like, the latest expression of that in the video gaming industry, where it's like, oh, you know, boobs are bad. Like, really? Boobs are bad. Like, have you been outside? Did you notice that women have those things? You know, it's like, no, but if we put boobs in video games, then we're misogynists. And it's like, well, is it totally sexist when they do, like, the Kratos shirt off, barely, you know, a loincloth kind of thing? Well, no, that's not sexist. That's just, you know, male sexuality. Like, male sexuality on screen is fine. Like, don't worry about it. In fact, that's a lot of what I addressed, is that, you know, Dragon Age Inquisition had a lot of, like, male, like, homosexual male sexuality in there. More than it had some massive amount of, like, big titty bouncing kind of stuff in there. And people are like, oh, this is Anita Sarkeesian's dream. And that's kind of what Leanna Kersner was saying. And it's like, I don't know. Did you check this game out? There's like a couple points where it's kind of like, yeah, fuck the feminists. You know, like, yeah, fuck the feminists. Like, here's lesbians. Here's, you know, Iron Bull just like nailing straight women. You know, like, ooh, you know, like there's a little bit of that. Something else that was in there that made people insane, and I mean insane, Leanna K didn't address this, but it made some people on corners of the internet insane, was that there was a transgendered person in the game at all. Like, not that it's executed poorly, not that it's like something where they shove it in your face, like, transgendered, transgendered. It's like, no, it's one character you can talk to out of Iron Bull's crew. And it's totally optional, and you don't need to engage with this character, like, whatsoever in the storyline at all. And that character is a woman who dresses like a man and identifies as a man, and it comes up if you talk to that character. And you can even have like differing reactions to it as your character, you know, you can be kind of like, ugh, you know, about it. So it's like, no, it's really stupid that people are convinced that Dragon Age Inquisition is this like PC title of the century. It's really not. They probably did do what she's saying in a lot of the kind of overarching elements, like they put in less total women characters. They avoided anything that even begins to smack of the desire demons from Dragon Age Origins at all. You know, like any time there might have been boobs, or there might have been, you know, Morrigan wearing like almost nothing. You know, it's like anytime something like that might have happened, they like quickly slapped everyone in like full formal gowns. You know, it's like they made sure that never happened, and that's stupid. But that's also just like, that's how the video game industry works. Like, they're all convinced, because they're idiots, that if they don't, you know, do the thing where there's like no boobs and like everybody is this, you know, it's like if they don't do that, then they feel like they failed, and they've got someone at EA like smacking them in the face with like some frickin' marketing paradigm crap. And it's like, yeah, they don't always like do that shit because of Anita Sarkeesian. They do that shit because if they marketed the game that they wanted to make, like most video games would look like fucking Japanese produced video games or something, you know? So that's the issue, is there's kind of already people doing most of the stuff that they're not willing to do in American studios. So Dragon Age Inquisition, I think, is less of a byproduct of the lead writer being like yet another fucking moronic sycophant, of the feminist frequency content. You know, it's like, that's not really it. You got to look at the work as it stands on its own. She's got her lying propaganda agenda kind of mixed in there with all the rest of the stuff that happened in that game, yeah. But the main criticisms of Dragon Age Inquisition isn't the portrayal of human sexuality. Not at all. The people that are making that point didn't like waste like several months of their life on that game. You know? That's not what happened with them, because they didn't fucking bother with that shit. And that's fine, whatever. But, you know, those of us that did know that there's a really wide spectrum of sexuality in Dragon Age Inquisition. And wide spectrums of sexuality do not mix with the feminist frequency, I'm over the top, angry at all men because I'm a woman kind of stuff. That doesn't work. But the elements that were very true is kind of a general dumbing down of video game culture, that Dragon Age Inquisition is very much, you know, an element of, an expression of the, you know, stages of kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, we don't have to work that hard on our video games, is what BioWare was saying there. You know, like, we don't have to work that hard on this. Like, we have a game, we have a engine, we have cutscenes, we have a plot, we're done. And it's like, no, you're not done. Like, you need to make sure the game works well, and the game is satisfying, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, yeah, we all really enjoyed staring at that guy's mustache, BioWare. That was really great, staring at his mustache at that one part. Thank you for that. You know, like, did you know that's what most people remember now? Talking to you, BioWare. That's what most people remember now, is that silly glitch. Because you guys had to do this crazy thing where you couldn't just let people import, like, through hard files like you did with Mass Effect. You had to do this let's go online crap and make up your own story, and it doesn't really matter what you did in the past. Dumb ideas. But that's not really what I'm addressing. What I'm addressing is, obviously, what was happening there was it was trying to update, essentially. It was trying to figure out what storyline you were on, whether you were on like the basic ass, just like, okay, normal storyline, or whether we needed to load up a female version of Hawk, you know, or whatever. That's what it was trying to figure out. Well, you needed to have a version set up so that it didn't access anything. Yeah, like that's what you needed to do. You needed to have the like offline, nobody's doing anything to it version. And that's almost certainly what was happening there, is a bunch of us were playing the just standard storyline, the like I didn't change anything from the canon storyline, and it would still sit there and stare at that guy's mustache for hours. And same thing with Hawk's trying to say something. Oh great, Hawk's trying to say something now. Get ready to stare at his fricking face and his little red line on his nose for hours. Now, it's not quite that bad, but it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, when you make a game badly, and I mean badly, like when you make the game, not the aesthetics, not every element of the programming, not the overarching storyline, not the human sexuality and social messages. No, none of that. When you just make a game, you know, the part that runs the game, when you make it badly and people are playing it and they realize at a certain point that you did this badly, that you were dumb, that you made it go online when there was no need to, and it stops everything so it can try and go online. When you do that, that's what people remember. And they should be remembering that crazy moment when you come up on Skyhold. You know, they should be remembering when you first face down Corinthius. When the first, like, real battle occurs just before that in the game. You know, that first time where you actually are going to die unless you know what you're doing just before that fight. Yeah. So, that's what people remember when a game's good, is they pull out all the parts like that. Where we like, you know, oh geez, that was hard. Oh geez, that was fun. Oh geez, that was epic. That's what we pull out. But you leave a giant turd where if we touch any buttons during a dialogue scene, it crashes the game utterly and completely and permanently. And the only way to fix it is just like walk out of the room while the guy's trying to talk. Seriously? And that's okay with you to release in a game? And this is part of the main storyline too, by the way. This is not something where I ran off and like opened up 17 dungeons and started a bunch of side quests on frickin', you know, Blackwall's like subplot or something. It's like, no, this is like the main storyline. This is like the central element at about the midpoint in the game that you have to participate in. You cannot get out of it. You can do everything else first. Dealing with the Grey Wardens is a key central element to Dragon Age Inquisition at the mid-game, roughly. And in one of the cutscenes, one of the pivotal cutscenes, it just sits there and waits for one of the wardens that's on your team to just say something, and just looks at his mustache on the screen, you know, and the rest of his face too, but the mustache is very prominent, and it's just, you know, here's frickin', what's his name, Stroud or something? Here's Stroud's mustache. And him staring at you. And occasionally blinking. And it's just kind of like, what's happening? You know, it's really weird. And if I didn't go on YouTube and look at things, I never would have known that there was a way to get past it. Like, I thought the game was broken. I was going to take it back in like, fuck, they really fucked up this game. I like it in a lot of ways, but I can't play it. So shit, give me my money back. You know, like that was really close to happening, BioWare. And I didn't because of YouTube. This place saved my game and made it so I didn't return it. Because someone pointed out to me through the LPers that if you just sit there long enough, it will eventually go through. But the key is that you can't like touch anything. Like that's always what I was doing, was I would wait a while, but I would always hit the like skip button. You know, like get going with it, goddammit. You know, it's like I'd always hit the button, and then that makes it just freeze forever if you hit the skip button. They probably fixed some of this by now, but this is the way it was at release, where it was just like, yeah, like, you get to a certain point of the game, and if you try and cut through the dialogue that's happening, it'll freeze the game permanently. And whatever your last save was is going to be whatever you're going to be able to use with your game. And if you don't touch anything, the guy still stares at you with his mustache for like fucking 6.5 minutes or something. I looked at it when it went through one time. It is a while. It is like, wow. Like, it is one thing to expect people to wait a good 90 seconds or 2 minutes for a game to kind of figure its shit out for a second. But yeah, expecting us to just stare at this, you know, glistening mustache in front of us for like fucking 6 minutes, probably a little less with a better system. But still, just like, are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Is I just like completely didn't even address the notion that Ryan Wiley raises about women being treated as sex objects. Look, that works like really well in the world where you cannot do that for men. Like in that world, and that's a real thing, you know, that's like the way it used to be done with pretty much anything, you know, going back in time media. It's like if someone was going to show some skin, someone's going to show skin, it was always women. You know, like just period. Just like, you know, the go-go dancing era or whatever. Yeah, like that's very true then. Now it's like, you know, the closer you can get to being like pants down, the like more you're gonna get some money as a male model. And you know what I mean? Like now it's like men being objectified sexually in video games, men being objectified sexually in magazines, men being movies, you know, you name it, by the same standards. And I've always said the same thing about objectification, that it's very much like pornography, where it's pretty damn hard to pin down exactly what it is, since you can kind of take these things in artistic directions and it becomes less so whatever pornography is. And it's the same kind of thing with objectifying women in video games. It's like you have to tell me what you're talking about. I think the Bayonetta example is one of the worst ones I've ever heard, not because a woman made it. I don't even understand those arguments. As a writer, I can put myself in the head of a woman or an alien. So I don't understand like why it matters what you are when you're making fiction. But that's a writer thing. I get why other people care about that. The point about Bayonetta is not a woman designed her. No. The point about Bayonetta is she's freaking powerful. I haven't played those games, but I like know the, you know, canon, the lore. And she's a powerful demoness who has like a several, I believe, bonded demons like living in her hair that serve her. She's a dominatrix style character. That's empowering. That's the kind of thing where most men are scared to death of a woman who's actually like that in the real world. You know, yeah, so like that's a horrible ass example. That's very like sex positive to the maximum kind of stuff. If you're getting into it and not just flashing images in front of people and just doing like the minimum amount of like just learning about the title kind of research that I've done on that one. And I don't claim to be the Bayonetta king. You know, like, no, I don't know that much about the title. I've just read about it through the internet and I'd like to play it someday. And I think it's a horrible ass example of like objectifying women in video games. Now, if you want to find that, it's sure as shit out there. It's probably like laden in the freaking dating games that these people never go after. Like that's probably like where it's the most located, is in the dating games. There's probably all these really poor portrayal of, you know, what women actually look like and whatnot, and what exactly is, you know, like the behavior of like women when they're being approached by men or other women for like romance things, like how do they behave and what do they do, and what were the kind of things that made them excited or got them disinterested. It's like I bet those things are horribly objectifying under the exact same standards, but because nobody's wearing bikinis, we don't see Ryan Wiley and Anita Sarkeesian jumping up to say that's a horrible ass objectification of women. So that's a lot of what I've always said about the whole matter of objectifying women. Is the first part is we do it to men by the same standard these days and no one bats an eye. So the notion that objectifying women is awful is starting to get really stupid. And then the notion that it happens and we shouldn't do it is point two. And I'm not so sure that the people who are saying that are invested in it. I don't think they really care about that. I think they're worried about sensationalism. And quite frankly, that's a stupid thing to worry about. Because we already know, here in America at least, we already know all we're going to do when we give Eric Lightborn a blog is create a sensationalism platform. And oh, that's nice. Ryan Wiley doesn't make sensationalism. Does he know that Anita Sarkeesian does nothing but? Nothing but. No quantity of anything but sensationalism found there. On her Twitter feed, on her videos, da-da-da-da-da. That's most of what feels like good arguments are against feminist frequency, is it's like it's sensationalism, which is fine, but you need to make a point that makes sense when you're like whipping up the crowd. And it's very similar to my critique of Ryan Wiley, kind of in summation, of just kind of like, it's fine, say what you want, have what opinions you want, but since you're saying, hey, people, make a better case out there, you need to be the one making a good case. And your case is not even good from your perspective. Your case is fucking mediocre. It's like, oh, all these other people who've done academic studies are all correct. And oh, there's gray areas, but they don't matter. And it's like, no, gray areas mean you can't take a stand. You know, the thing about the bucking bronco and you putting a kitten in your pocket. That's stupid. That's a dumb way to approach it. Beyond that, I mean, he's engaged in a lot of the same things inside his head and getting them out on the internet that I am, so, you know, right on to that. But I've said that about Anita, too, about how it's like, yeah, she's obviously engaged in some of the same things. Same with Jonathan McIntosh, her producer. You know, it's like, yeah, they're engaged, they're mentally engaged at some of the same things that I think about and stuff, and what society is and that kind of thing, and that's all well and good. But no, it's not really presentation, Ryan. That's not really it, everyone. It's not presentation. It's factual substance. It's veracity of statements. It's how close can you get to that big bad word science without like needing to kind of duck out of the internet and let someone who's got someone who can say complete sentences without doing that, someone who's got science credentials to step in and correct everything you've done. And how many times do you raise science where people who have science credentials go, good job? You know, because I haven't done it much on the internet, but it's happened plenty of times in my real life where I step into the science or the academic arena and I tell everyone what is up. And the people that are like, they're doing it already will like turn to me and be like, good job, Eric. You know, so I don't know. They want me to tackle the wage gap, Ryan, if you're listening to any of this and anyone you know passes it along or whatever. Yeah, the little internet peeps. Probably TJ Kirk's fans that hear me kind of blogging into YouTube and pay attention to me. That's my best guess of who those people are when I get asked that. And yeah, I'm going to do it. It's just a quantitative-qualitative thing. Same thing with Epstein. I don't really care about Anita now that I've looked more into this just recently. She's just a PR wing. She's like what I would do if I had an attractive woman who wanted to go on camera, you know. It's like, she's not important. Everyone thinks Jonathan McIntosh is so important. It's like, what? Have you read his scripts? Oh wait, you've seen his scripts performed. He's not that damn good. He's better than me at production, and he has more money than me, but beyond that, it's like, no, he has no fucking talent. You want to know who's driving this damn bus? It's a guy at Harvard. Yeah, it's one of the atheist peoples. He wrote one of the books that I've recommended many times, because it's very true, like what he's talking about in the book, you know. It's like, look, you can be good without God. You know, yeah, that guy. That's who it is. It's not Anita. Anita's just a Canadian marketing expert who came into this all like, hey, I know what to do. I'll be like the everyday girl on camera. And it's like, well, kinda. But really, I think if Hannah Minks hadn't checked out, Anita would be like a lot less of a big deal, you know what I mean? A few other ones too. iJustine's only on Twitter these days. Come on back, iJustine. Do like 19 more licking things videos, please. Well, one thing I do a lot of online is this thing about like, oh, explain your reasoning, explain your reasoning, explain your I do that a lot to people, wherever, in the comments or underneath their own videos or something. And I will do a little bit of that in regards to why is the big question I'm always asking that other people miss sometimes. Why do I think that Anita Sarkeesian and Feminist Frequency are using kind of shady marketing tactics in order to present the message they have? Why do I think that? Well, this is all going to get meaningless really fast, but I'm just going to talk about it anyway. What they're doing is called cross-demo work. It's some of the hardest stuff to do. It's what I'm always trying to do in a very honest and straightforward fashion. And the, Feminist Frequency way to approach it is very simple. It's, what do most people not know? What do most people not know? Most people don't have this, like, compendium of video games in their brain. But then a bunch of people do, and then that's like the gaming industry people. Men, women, all over the place. Gaming industry consumers have this, like, compendium of what video games actually are inside of their brain. You're everyday walking down the street, everyday people do not have that. So let's make a bunch of gross, untrue statements that rile and get one side of the demo up and then the other side of the demo up at the exact same time for different reasons, and all paying attention to us. And like, what would that be? It's like, oh, there's just crazy amounts of just hatred for women in video games. And it's like, yeah, like people who know nothing about video games at all will step in and be like, yeah, that's got to be true. And people who know everything about video games, everything, people who were like professionally doing it, not me, they're gonna be like, what the hell, like, that's not true, like, somebody over there did that, and then we balanced it in with this, and then there's also these titles over here that, like, don't come to the US that are totally like that, and, it's like there's somebody who is all about it, who's gonna be like, oh my god, I'm so pissed at Feminist Frequency for doing this at such a high production value, it's such obvious. Yeah, that's the whole thing, is it's just marketing 101. If I had somebody just, slapping down cash on my ass, just like, here, every idea fully funded, there you go, I would have something that would make, a lot of the people that kind of count as Anita Sarkeesian's, like, adversaries or something. I'd have something that have a lot of them be, like, jealous as hell. And I've actually been trained how to do promotions too. So, ooh, look at that. When I have a product to move that's not just, hey, listen to my podcast. Hey, check out my blog, It's like, yeah, then I know what to do. This is kind of a silly point for me where it's like, well, fuck, I'm just having a lot of fun making stuff. And then getting super pissed off at the production phase, like over and over and over again. Just like, oh my god, I can produce, but I hate it. I hate it. I don't want to go back. I want to go forward. So no, that's the funny thing about anybody who's got that kind of creative itch going on if they try something like this, is they're like, oh, but I only get to be creative at the slideshow process, you see? A little bit in the music engineering. I've captured some of it. I don't know how closely you all are listening. I got my thing back in with the Ryan Wiley, Anita Sarkeesian versus Eric Lightborn, Leanna Kersner. Yeah, it's like I've gotten the thing back in about the art of the story and the like little like 4 tracks of like sample music I can use that I can't do much with because it's just like that, It's like I can use it, but I can use it on Blue in the Face, but, I only have like 4 tracks of gifted sample music from my like one actual fucking buddy, and he doesn't fucking, well, not my one buddy, that's a stupid way to put it. My one like actually normal like sound engineering / DJ person that I knew does not get back to me. He's probably moved out of town by now, and so it's just like, but I used to be in that kind of better position where if I was doing this kind of thing, I could just walk up to certain people like, hey, wait a minute. I don't want your rights. No. I want you to just sit here and work with me, and I'll record something weird, and all of your URLs will be all over this thing, man. Like, and they'd be all over it. They'd be like, oh yeah, cool, once I explained what I wanted. And I wasn't just saying, like, let me, like, gank all of your frickin' mixes, dude. It's like, as soon as they understood I wasn't saying that, because that's what everyone tries and does to these deeds. Do's to D's, yes, whatever. That's what everyone tries to do to mixers, because it's not that hard to just be like, yeah, I mixed that, so, no, not that. Not that. And DJs are different. It's pretty easy to tell, like, what a DJ did and what they didn't do, but you have to be kind of keyed into, like, what the hell that all is. And if I'm not listening to a lot of DJ work, I, like, can't do it myself, even though it's, like, something that I might attempt at some point. The electronic spin works is a go. No, it's not. But yes, in brief, I believe that not vector marketing, firm, class action, fuck you guys from my end kind of thing, but some other very similar marketing people filled Anita Sarkeesian's head with a lot of stuff, and she brought it to like a social activist type person, someone a little bit closer to who I am. And they came up with the feminist frequency, like kind of redux, the way the channel changed like that. And that was the Gaming Tropes video series that kicked all this stuff off. And anytime someone makes a profound cultural impact, the way how Anita Sarkeesian and Jonathan McIntosh have, I always give them credit for it. But it's, what was the resounding thing? What the fuck happened? Ultimately, these people are just the internet aristocrat. Like, that's all they fucking are. Just because they're out in public and have their names out and shit doesn't change anything. They're just the exact same thing. They just came in, put a nudie picture on the table, had everyone in the boardroom scream out loud, like, what are you doing? And then put it away, and then walked out the door. And it's like, why the fuck would you do such a thing? That's fucking cross-demo work. That's the kind of thing where it's like, if all you need is people to just run up to you, one of the best things to do is do things that just pisses everyone off. Like, don't try to fucking make a point. Don't try to reinforce an ideal. Don't try and present ideas you feel are underrepresented. No. Just come up with something so that everyone who views it is going to react to it. That's it. That's called being evil. Or if you want to be less serious and more, it's called being full of shit. And that's been my point about Anita Sarkeesian and Jonathan McIntosh and Greg Epstein and you name it. And every once in a while, not as often, but every once in a while, Sargon of Akkad, Phil Mason, TJ Kirk, Mr. Repsion, Mundane Matt, Chris Reagan, Arbiter Some Numbers, and all you people are just as wrong as fucking Anita Sarkeesian, or whoever the hell else you spend most of your time going blah at. And the only reason I started doing this thing, which was years ago, and it wasn't in this form, it's because I was looking around and I just saw a lot of Glenn Beck and Alex Jones, like that's what I was seeing. I was just like, these people, and you people, you public intellectuals, I keep calling you people, mostly found on YouTube, are fucking awesome down to the last, even when I disagree with you. The matter is, I am going to be the one calling you out. I am coming after whatever the heck you said, but I'm not coming to your damn house, and you're not coming over here either. Unless we happen to go meet up sometime with some kind of thing that's all formal and whatnot. It's all discussions. It's all ideas. And whoever it is, on whatever side, we often call them third parties, whoever it is and whatever it is that's taken things to this level, It's mostly centered around Anita Sarkeesian. They need to stop. If they ever hear this, like, what you're doing is horribly wrong and doesn't help anybody at all from any angle. You know, like, that's definitely kind of the primary element to talk about in kind of a summational talk to this whole thing that people are just into big time on the internet right now, is talk about this, talk about this. You know, it's like, look, like, there is something crazy going on. Somebody somewhere is nuts. Probably here in the United States, possibly Canada, possibly a single operator, possibly an orchestrated group, possibly many disconnected individuals just happening to align. We'll find out, but I ain't gonna be the one who gets told about it. It'll be an FBI thing. So it's something to know that when it's reportable and usable as a journalist moment for me, that's what I'll do. And you can damn well bet a lot of the other people who are on here, whenever something like that happens, are gonna be like, hey, look, my internet audience is frothing at the fucking mouth for me to just scream about how Anita's a dumbass. And it's like, well, she is kind of a dumbass, actually, but the problem is a lot of the people that get raised up as the new messiahs to replace someone like Phil Mason are just kind of dumbasses every once in a while. And Anita's big problem is that she's a dumbass all the damn time, because that's her marketing paradigm, and it's a damn good one.